Hello everyone, I'm Dan Philgreen, and this is Shellpoint Today for the weekend of December 26th, 27th, and 28th. We hope you had a wonderful, joy-filled Christmas celebration yesterday. On today's show, we are continuing our retrospective on the best of Shellpoint TV for 2014. Before we get started, we have a word from Melody Desilets for all of you faithful Shellpoint volunteers.
Hi Shellpoint resident volunteers, I am Melody Desilets, volunteer coordinator here at Shellpoint, and I am so proud to say that we completed another successful calendar year of volunteering, and it's all thanks to you with your generosity and your time commitment to those volunteer roles that are so important. Now I'm here to talk about volunteer hours, which I'm sure you've heard me talk about before. Those volunteer hours are so important for our rating in our not-for-profit status as a CCRC, which is a continuing care retirement community. Now, in order to turn in those hours, you may already see a binder at your place of work. You just fill in your name, the position that you do, and the hours that you complete. Now at the end of the calendar year, I'm looking for the grand total of hours from January 2014 through December 2014. And a form looks like this. If you don't have a binder where you currently volunteer, you can pick up one of these forms at either service desk, either here on the island or at the Woodlands Commons. Now in order to fill out this form, as I had said before, you fill out your name, your address, the position that you're currently volunteering in, and you fill out those hours through the days of the month. Now the grand total for 2014 is the most important part, and you would fill that out at the bottom and send it in to me in the Resident Activity Center here on the island. Now the volunteer hours range based on position, but if you do have any question regarding keeping track of your hours, please connect with me, Melody, at 454-2290. Now positions may range from the Shellpoint singers to the stamp ministry all the way to court reps, and no position is too small, and we will take all those hours. So again, I appreciate you for who you are and what you have done. Just to give you a little status update for volunteer hours for 2012, we did 104,000. Now for 2013, that number popped up to 115,000 volunteer hours, and it's all because of you. So thank you so very much for what you do day in and day out. You matter, and I look forward to inviting all you who turn in your volunteer hours to a wonderful party. You'll receive a personal invitation from President Peter Dice. So we look forward to serving you and having a party for you. Thank you again for all that you do.
Mary Franklin is up next with her special edition of Happenings that covers this entire week. And then we'll bring you the menus.
Merry Christmas! I'm Mary Franklin from Resort Services, here to cover the highlights your entire Christmas week here at Shellpoint. For all of the regularly scheduled programs, please refer to your weekly reminder because all the details will be in there. And if you have family in town, don't forget to sign them up to go out on the Suzy Q. Go to the train room, visit the Orchid House. There is so much for them to see here at Shellpoint. I know you will be proud to show it off. I'm Mary Franklin from Resort Services. Have a wonderful Merry Christmas.
Menus for your weekend. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter on Friday is crab cakes with dill orzo pilaf and asparagus. The dinner special is the seafood buffet for $15.95, and the soup of the day is New England clam chowder. In the Island Cafe for lunch, the special is a turkey Reuben with fries for $7.25. The dinner special is Chef's Choice for $8.25. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill on Friday are lamb chops for $22.95 or veal Oscar for $16.95. On Saturday, the Crystal Room is closed. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Saturday, the special is a chili cheese hamburger with onion rings for $7.25. The dinner special is risotto, spinach, and chicken with garlic bread and broccoli for $8.25. On Saturday, the dinner special in the Palm Grill is prime rib for $19.95. On Sunday, the Crystal Room features its Sunday brunch for $17.50. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Sunday, the special is a barbecue chicken sandwich with coleslaw for $7.25, and the dinner special is Chef's Choice for $8.25. And the Palm Grill is closed on Sundays. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
And now, on to today's collection of the best segments from Shellpoint TV for 2014. In July, some of the folks at the King's Crown shared some of their memories of summer.
I came from a family of 4 brothers and 1 sister, and we had a lot of fun. My dad loved to go places and do things. We used to go swimming at a pond that we called Ridgeway. We took picnic lunches for us out there, and that was a lot of fun too. But another favorite thing that we had is because we didn't have any refrigerator at home, but the ice truck came by once a day, and we kids would stand out at the side and wait for the ice truck because they'd have to chip off a block for you to take in the house, and what fell off, the iceman let us have it to suck it.
Salt Lake City, to go into the salt water and float. That was fun. That was one of the fun places. Well, my father was a professor, so he had the summers off, or part of the summers off. So we used to go in the old cars and travel all around the country to different states. And of course, the facilities for overnight staying were not very good at that time. So we had bedrolls made out of blankets. We each had our own bedroll, and we would sleep wherever we found an empty place in a churchyard or a schoolyard. I remember one night we were visited by a creature that turned out to be a skunk. Oh. So I remember that. It ruined our bedrolls, and we had to start all over again. So that was fun.
Well, I guess going to Seaside Park in Bridgeport, Connecticut. The beach was nice then. I don't know what it's like now. I had twin sisters, and I guess we would just go and spend the day. But it was fun. We had a good time.
Well, my early experiences were all in Canada. We motored usually for the summer vacations, and often it was from Winnipeg to Ottawa, Canada, and I think we knew that road personally, every stop on it. And I think the one I had most fun with, we went up to where my aunt and uncle had a cottage on the Ottawa River, and it was very wide and shallow where they had built their cottage. And you had to go out, more than 100 yards to do any fishing. But we did fish, and my sister caught what was for us a great big fish. I think it must have weighed 15 pounds. Mm. So I think she was the hero of the day.
Well, one of my early memories as a child was going to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and spending a couple of weeks there with my family. And I remember going fishing for bass and bluegills and so on every day. And that was the most fun we had. I was probably 6 or 7 years old at the time, and we had a ball.
Well, as a child, I was into trouble all the time. But at that time, there were Tarzan movies on, and sort of a series, and once a week you saw something about Tarzan. Well, there was a nice big tree in our little town that was just perfect for swinging from one limb to the other. And we kids did that, once in a while. So after seeing that movie, I thought I knew it all. So I went to the tree, and I was doing pretty good until I missed and landed. And I knew I broken some ribs. I knew something was wrong there. Now, this is a small town with one doctor. Of course, that hurt, but what was hurt worse was telling Mother all about this. But I did, and guess what I got? I got a paddling. And so I'll never forget that.
Well, my brother and I did everything together. We did music together, and we used to put on shows. My sister was 5 years younger than me, and she used to sing, and we would put on a show when we'd go different places.
Very nice.
Even though maybe there was nobody to watch, we'd practice.
I used to go down to the creek and go right out into the water.
From a tree rope, huh?
From a tree rope, right. Oh, that was fun.
And did you try
At first it was hard because I didn't want to turn loose.
You didn't want to let go,
I
huh?
didn't want to let it go. You could hit a bank or something, you know.
So you had to know how to fall correctly.
Exactly.
Right in the middle of the deep hole, right?
Exactly.
That was fun.
Later on, after I got older, I was in college, and I went canoeing up in the Quetico Park in Canada with 3 fraternity brothers, and we paddled all the way from the border clear up to the Trans-Canada Railroad at Coween and back again, 300 miles. And we had a big time there.
One summer we decided to follow the Lewis and Clark Trail all the way from St. Louis all the way out to Oregon. And our kids were probably 8 and 5 or something like that. And we camped. And we started out, and I had read the journals of Lewis and Clark, and I read every day where we were on the trail, thinking that they were absorbing all this. Of course, they weren't, but anyway. Anyway, we read all the historical markers, and my older daughter wasn't thrilled with this trip at all. And she says, "Not another hysterical marker." Well, we had fun camping. We had gotten up one morning early, and Martha and Marianne were still in the tent, and we heard this bang, 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 bang. And we looked in the tent, and Martha had a wood tick, and she was trying to kill it with a hatchet. Oh. And the tent had a floor in it. So,
oh, no.
So we stopped that in a hurry.
Also last summer was the 4th of July Jamboree. Here's what that fun day was like. Fun, huh? 2014 was a big year for construction at Shellpoint. We've already looked back on the estuary getting underway and the aquatic center opening, and the new circle fountain. Yet another construction project completion was the new dining room at the Springs. Here's what it was like at the grand opening. For those in doubt.
Here's final one.
Tremendous amount of burden as you have eaten in very small quarters with a lot of different people. You got to know your neighbors probably a little bit more than you really wanted to. And we're very grateful that you as Springs residents have been so supportive. There are a couple of thank yous though that I would like to share with you and have you help me thank them. First and foremost, help me thank the Springs staff. The project development group here at Shellpoint works between the architectural and the construction group and us here in the building. And they're headed by somebody that's pretty special to me, and that's Bob Southern, my husband. He has tolerated more conversations at dinner about the dining room at the Springs than any husband should have to. Bob is supported by two very special women, Julie Nipper and Carolyn Darling. When I'm not there to nag him, these two ladies are there to nag him and keep him on track. So, thank you, ladies.
Well, thank you, Rita. I want to just share with you that there is no group of residents at Shellpoint that deserve a nice dining room as quickly as we can get into it as you do. You have put up with a great deal for a long period of time, and I have to tell you, it's been made possible because you have people like Rita who advocate hard for it, and you've got some wonderful staff that really dedicate themselves to doing all they can to make this the best place it can be. It's going to be a whole lot easier now for them to serve you, and we just thank you so much for your tolerance, your patience in getting to this place. I commend you for it. I hope that you will enjoy it. In fact, I know you will, so I'm going to step out of the way here pretty quick before I get trampled. But we do want to just say thank you to you, especially as our residents, and especially to our staff as well, who have put up with a great deal of difficulty as we've gotten to this completion point. The experts are all behind us here. They've done a great job, as we always try to do at Shellpoint, and we hope that you will enjoy it, not today, but always, as you enjoy this dining room. So thank you again, and God bless you as you enjoy every aspect of what we got going on here. Thank you so much.
Father, we come today with hearts of gratitude and thankfulness. We are thankful for this wonderful place, the Springs at Shellpoint, where we live. We are grateful for the staff that works so hard to take good care of us. And we are very thankful for this great addition to the dining room. We trust that this will become a place where we not only continue to receive great meals, but a place where friendships are strengthened and new friendships developed. Thank you for the many ways that you care for us and provide what we need. Amen.
Amen. Join me in raising your glass, a moment of thanks and very full heart with gratitude. We cheered you as Shellpoint residents here at the Springs. We thank the staff for all that they've done, and we thank the group that made this happen. So cheers to all. The staff are standing by, ready to serve you your first meal in the new dining room.
You've been waiting for this for a long time.
It's nice to have you here, Philgreen. I know you're here. I know you're here just on a short trip. The ribbon cutting here at the Springs has been such a wonderful celebration. It has brought residents and staff, the construction team, everyone together to really celebrate the opening, the grand opening of our new Springs dining room. This dining room is in addition to the small space that we kind of outgrew, and the Springs residents have really been very considerate and supportive as we've processed through the last 5.5 months of construction to the finale of today. and dining for the first time this evening in their brand new dining room. So we're grateful for the gifts that God has given us, and it's with a full heart that we have our first meal here at the Springs. So come and join us.
A lot of history has been made at Shellpoint over the decades, and Bob Southern has been collecting memorabilia for much of that time to remember what went on. This year, a project was started with a team of residents to organize the collection into an archive.
Well, we're involved in the archive project, which has been put together by Bob Southern, who has collected all kinds of materials over many years and decided that it may be a good idea to sort through this stuff and get ready for the time when Shellpoint could develop some kind of archival display. So a number of us were enlisted as volunteers to help go through all of these materials, boxes and boxes of them, and begin sorting through it. Our initial step was to divide all of the materials into basic categories, and then to take one category at a time and make sure that the materials are placed in the proper kind of plastic material to preserve them. And then we also categorized them and explained in detail what was contained in the various pieces of information, whether it be a brochure, an advertising piece, or a letter, or a memo, or whatever the case may be. So we've gone through each of the pieces, sorted them out, detailed what's in them, categorized them, and then the next step is for it to go into a computer system, and that's being taken care of by Shellpoint staff, and eventually we will end up with an archival display. So it's pretty exciting, and we're kind of thrilled about being a part of it. It's brought back a lot of memories for us because some of the people involved in the earlier years were people that we knew personally, and so we could identify them and kind of relive their experiences here in Shellpoint through the material that we've read.
Since January, I've been working on the Shellpoint Village News, which was the first little magazine that they put out, which is equal now to the Shellpoint Life, I guess, but not quite as exciting. But it is fun to read it, and I started way back when Shellpoint started, and they started to produce this little news item, and now I'm up into the 70s and 80s, so it's been a really fun project.
Today I'm working on some artifacts, boards that were prepared by an outside organization for a possibility at Shellpoint, and so all of these will be put in some kind of an archival area so that people at Shellpoint will be able to see what was the background here. And then not only that, but as your friends come, someday we hope there'll be a place where they can be shown. But what have we done? I've looked at pictures, aerial photos, what this place looked like before there was a woodlands, before there was an Eagles Preserve. There are pictures that residents have taken, and one of the very interesting ones was to see the bridge on the island that goes along the river, and how that was taken out. The whole thing was closed off for a while. So that was interesting. And then letters between people, board members, directors, former leaders of Shellpoint. Fascinating history, and Bob Southern has saved these pieces, and they are going to be available for everybody.
I guess in my early years here, I recognized that a lot of the archival documents of Shellpoint in this particular instance at that time was relative to the construction history of Shellpoint and the plans and specifications for the original buildings and site work on the island were not properly stored and in many cases not even really known where they were. So I started accumulating them and bringing them together and putting them in a proper storage facility so they'd be there for our use and for future generations. And we now have a proper method of storing and categorizing 45 years of Shellpoint's construction history. A lot of these older ones you see up here, I don't know what all is where, but Bert Hill, Kozar Riddleman, they're the original architectural firm that actually came to Fort Myers with Shellpoint, with the Christian Missionary Alliance, to build Shellpoint. So they're original designer of the island and all the original island buildings. And they were our architect up until we bought the expansion community and we started them with the new architect. But probably about the same time I started seeing bits and pieces of Shellpoint's marketing and development history and resident history, and pieces would come across my desk, or we would see them as apartments were vacated, and I hated to see that stuff thrown out. I've always had a kind of a natural inclination toward that kind of history and wanting to see it preserved. So I just started accumulating it and preserving it and protecting it, with the idea that it would mean something to people someday. And I've been fortunate enough through what residents have kept over the years and what people have sent to me or what I've just found, that we've got a lot of stuff here that goes back into the earliest days of the selling and the marketing and the development of the Shellpoint community. And the collection kept getting bigger and bigger, and it went from a whole lot of paper products to a lot of other items, from signs off of buildings that are gone. And I collect some things that might seem silly, but the old fence railings off of the guest house when they were replaced, they were very unique, and I have a section of that. And so there are many things like that that would just make what I hope one day will be a fun Shellpoint museum. And we just started getting the idea that as this stuff started to really accumulate, that we needed to create a system of cataloging it and a searchable database, so that if somebody wanted to look up somebody that who was instrumental in the early years of the development of Shellpoint, or they wanted to find out about some specific event, the opening of the Larson Pavilion or the construction of the village church, that by going to the searchable database and keying in certain key terms, that they would be able to find that, whatever we have in the archives relative to those things. So that's what the volunteers who have been so kind and gracious to come and help me with on this project. And in the end, we hope to create a very usable and a functional database of this material. And there's been some discussion going on of a future Shellpoint museum and some way to display some of the more interesting things. And I hope that that during my time at Shellpoint that would come to fruition, because I would love to see it and love to see these things and Shellpoint's history properly protected and displayed for all to enjoy. And it won't be too long, and we'll be hitting our 50th anniversary, and maybe that's a good time for us to be able to unveil some of these things that mean so much to so many people that live here and that have lived here, and those of us that have worked here for so long.
Each one of us all made our own personal history this year. For some, that meant making some significant changes. Al Park made the transition to assisted living when he moved to the King's Crown. He shared with Bobby Brown about the process and showed us how he settled into his new home.
Hi, I'm Bobby Brown, and this is Amazing Space. Today, we are at the home of Al Park in King's Crown. Earlier this year, with the help of his very savvy children, Al moved from his mid-rise apartment of nearly 2,000 square feet to approximately 650 square feet in King's Crown. His new home has been able to accommodate most of his extensive art collection and some very, very favorite pieces of furniture.
Over 8 years of a place as big as that one, I decided that I'd better go get some assisted living. And here I am. This piece was given to me years ago by my oldest son, who is now 65.
They got it in here and it fits beautifully. I mean, it was like it was built in here.
Yeah. She was from a little island. I was on a sailing trip, and she asked if she could come with me. So she did. She got in the boat with us and sailed to Florida, and here she is. That is from mid-England, and this is Reed, Charles Reed, and he's my favorite English painter. These two are, my wife and I bought those when we were in Switzerland, and I was doing a little bit of mountain climbing. My wife bought this because it was being shown as two peculiar looking pieces. This one is done by Reed, who's the same man who did the work on the big one and the one on its left. This is mid-England.
Now this is a different one.
This came from Prague. My wife and I were in Prague for a bit, and we're walking through the old section and went into a little cottage kind of store and looked around for maybe 30 minutes and decided that there's nothing here that we want to have. And I headed out the door and stopped because this was hanging above the door. We turned around, went back, bought this, had it shipped home, and it's been one of my favorites ever since. This little picture you might want to look at because that is a marker at the end of the canal that goes from a lake that's primarily in Holland, Michigan, out into Lake Michigan in the back, and that's known as Big Red. I first saw it in 1955 because we were beginning our vacation there, which continued year after year. Big Red has always been in my picture. That piece was done by a young man from Paraguay who shipped it to me because he had been in my house for a couple of weeks.
These are two single apartments that they combined. So Al has actually two apartments in one.
This is an antique from my home. My grandfather had this.
See the fabric? These old writing desks all had this beautiful velvet surface.
This is a photograph from the place where we, as a family, always went for 2 to 4 weeks for vacation in the summer at Holland, Michigan. Oh, they came from Switzerland, and they're obviously musicians.
Yes, they're all playing a different musical instrument. Now this is the perfect view of the new aquatic center at Shellpoint. Just look at that view.
Yes. I happen to have this already because it was given to me by my kids when we moved into Turbin, and that was almost 20 years ago. But it worked very nicely for me to use it there, and it came with me for here. And this and that are paintings that we bought from Eskimos, and they do quite a bit of artistic work. Those came from the same people who made these pictures.
So these were all done by Eskimos?
Yep.
And are they made of granite or?
No, they're made of stone.
Stone. And they're the different animals. They're very smooth.
Yeah, it's good work. And
it's gorgeous.
It's the same woman who's done both of these pictures. She's an Indian woman, that is an American Indian, and comes from New Mexico. I jokingly say that this is a den and this is my bedroom.
Correct.
And that's my uses.
So when Al gets tired of relaxing in his den and he's feeling a little bit sleepy, he doesn't even have a hop, skip, and a jump to go from here to there. And he's in his bed.
That's true.
Snug as a bug in your bed.
Yep.
And now we have these things.
This is, and this are all from England. It's in the Lake District, which is in the northern part of the English country. The lamp came from my mother, which I think came from her mother, Miss West Virginia.
Ah! Is it really?
And we found her in a store in a little town in West Virginia. And she said, really, that she wanted to get out of that place.
She wanted to get out of West Virginia?
Right. This was one that we picked up in New Mexico. It's made by an American Indian. This is not a door as long as I'm here. I concluded as I approached 90 years old.
Yeah, you were approaching a big birthday. I remember you told me that.
Yeah, that this was a major thing for me, and I felt that I would be more comfortable if I came into something that was smaller. It's good for me to do what I want to do before I need to.
That is a major, major statement, to do it, to do what you need to do before you're forced into it or you have to do it.
Yeah.
Well, you've just been a delight, and I'm so glad we had an opportunity to visit like this. And I think it'll help a lot of people as they're going through the decision process to see, you know what, I can keep a lot of my precious things. I can take the things I really, really want. And as you said, some of your art collection went to your myriad of children.
Yeah.
So they didn't pilfer the place. You gave them the things that you chose not to keep yourself.
Yeah.
If you have any questions about life in assisted living, you know, Al's always happy to talk to people.
Yeah.
And you probably wouldn't mind if they stopped by and knocked on your door.
Of course not.
And you want to see it for real. He's very welcoming. He certainly, I think, would welcome anybody that would like to talk with him or see his digs here in King's Crown.
Yeah.
When the summer rolled around, it was time for another set of paintings to hang in the art gallery in the tunnel. Here is another glimpse at the artistic talent of Shellpoint residents. No matter where you live, there is some kind of risk of one natural phenomena or another. Besides the occasional hurricane, here in Southwest Florida, we have a lot of lightning in the summertime. It's a serious danger, and we tried to raise awareness in a way we hoped would be memorable. Well, most of you know that our colleague Jared has moved on to pursue other goals, and Adam's taking a few days off for vacation, so I'm shooting this as a selfie. That's a new official word if you didn't know, selfie, and you can Google it up. And oh yeah, Google is a new verb, by the way. Anyway, the subject for today is lightning. Now, lightning can be 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 3 to 5 times as hot as the surface of the sun, which is awesome and just overwhelming. So we don't want to mess with lightning. It's estimated that lightning strikes the Earth 100 times every second. That's somewhere on the planet. That's 8.6 million strikes per day and over 3 billion a year. Florida is the lightning capital of the United States, as we all know, and most of the concentration is in Southwest Florida, right where we are. 92% of all lightning strikes between May and September, with July being the peak month with about 30% of all strikes. Now, unfortunately, last week on Fort Myers Beach, 3 people were struck by lightning and 1 of them was killed. Approximately 10% of the people who are hit by lightning do actually die. Besides the obvious burns that can happen, about 25% of those who are hit by lightning have some other kind of physiological or psychological damage, such as neurological problems, depression, ringing in the ears, hearing loss, or other issues. As one expert says, lightning messes with the body's wiring. So, lightning is serious and not something to be messed with. As we've heard before in our program, it can strike up to 10 miles away from where there's a storm. So if you can hear thunder, the lightning can hit you. And lightning can hit after the storm has passed. So you really need to wait about 30 minutes after the last thunder to make sure you're in the clear. If you're caught outside during a lightning storm, don't stay near anything tall, because the majority of fatal strikes are actually by bolts that go through the ground after hitting something nearby that's tall. A car is a great place to be during a lightning storm because the metal of the car actually functions like a Faraday cage and directs the lightning around the occupants, so that's a good place to be. And counterintuitively, an airplane is also a pretty good place to be during a storm for the same reason. Now, even if you're in a house, lightning can travel through wiring or through pipes, so you want to stay away from anything that's plugged into the wall or from pipes or water. If someone happens to be struck near you and is unconscious, you can start CPR immediately. The body does not hold any charge from the lightning. That's a myth. So, when you're out and about, keep an eye on the sky and be aware of your surroundings. Whoa! The amount of wisdom collected over the lifetimes of Shellpoint residents is enormous and impossible to calculate. As we prepared to shoot various interviews this year, before we got started, we asked folks to share some bit of wisdom that has been with them through their years. Here's a collection of the responses we got.
We always ask people to give us a word of wisdom.
A word of wisdom?
Yes. Are there words of wisdom that kind of have been floating around your family for years?
My words of wisdom.
Oh boy, I wasn't expecting that.
If you're asking me to come up with something, I guess,
All right, I can do that.
Well, my mother-in-law is saying, when you get lemons, you make lemonade.
My mother had one. Good, better, best, never let it rest, till the good is better and the better is best.
My father's favorite one, when we were going to have a serious conversation when I didn't do something right or whatever, he was going to have a come to Jesus meeting.
You probably had a few of those.
Oh!
My mother always would say, good enough. My father would always say, did you do your best? That's all that was required of us, do your best.
My father had a couple of words of wisdom. I guess the biggest one would be all things in moderation. That anything can be taken to the extreme is bad. Even good things taken to the extreme are bad. So try to do moderation in all things, and I've tried to live by that.
Never say I hate anyone. You always say that person makes it very hard for me to like them.
I remember once asking my mother, when I was quite young, whether I was a good-looking person or not. Although I think the way I put it was, am I ugly? And she said, no, you're beautiful.
You can worry yourself
crazy about what's coming around the corner, but nobody really knows. So when you feel that way, just remember, don't look around corners, and that'll take some of that pressure away.
What I heard my mother say, you cannot outgive God.
My grandmother says, don't drink no whiskey, read the Bible. Is that the kind of wisdom you want?
A word of wisdom, life short, eat dessert first. Does that work?
A lie well told is better than the truth wavering.
A little powder and paint makes a lady what she ain't.
My tip of the day, don't eat yellow snow.
Something that I learned a long time ago from my grandfather, who told me, never, ever, ever forget to always carry a garbage pail in your car, and if it always gets full, you can just throw it out the window. Does that work?
I'm like a young kid.
That's it.
Yeah. That's what I always say. I'm like a young kid. How you doing, Joe? I'm like a young kid. I got a big mouth. That's another thing I got.
Better late than never.
You know, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right.
If you get confused, listen to the music play.
Aim at heaven and you get earth thrown in. Aim at earth and you get neither.
I love that one. That's great. I like that.
Grow where you're planted.
So it's on my father's tombstone, in the garden, because that's where he spent all of his time.
If you wonder whether you should thank a driver when you cut in front of him or he lets you in or whatever, thank them all, even if you did it wrong, because maybe they will start doing it.
That's what we were meant to do. We were meant to be kind and pleasant and nice.
As a columnist, one of my core beliefs is that you get back what you put out. And but then I got to thinking in terms of everything in life. That is what happens. And it's not just a bromide or something to be nice. It's true. You get back what you put out.
Well, we will leave you with those words of wisdom today. On Monday and all next week, we'll have more of the best of Shellpoint Today from 2014. Until then, this is Shellpoint Today for the weekend of December 26th, 27th, and 28th. I'm Dan Philgreen, and from all of us here at Shellpoint TV, we hope that you have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.